If you're thinking about franchising your business in 2026, this video is for you. Franchising is an incredible growth opportunity, but only when it aligns with your business goals, your personal expectations, and most important, the right franchise strategy. In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to share exactly what you need to know before franchising your business, from readiness to legal structure to costs and understanding what it takes to succeed as a franchisor. I'm also going to share what's changing in the franchise world in 2026 and beyond. We'll cover how to know if you're ready for franchising, understanding the true costs and timelines, understanding the difference between franchise lawyers and consultants, understanding what it takes to succeed as a franchisor, and if you're not ready yet, how to prepare for the future. So franchising's on your radar. This is your starting point. Are you ready to franchise your business? Well, the biggest mistake that entrepreneurs and founders make, they franchise their business when they're not ready, or they do it for the wrong reasons and with the wrong expectations. What should you be evaluating? How do you evaluate if you're ready? Well, I want you to initially focus on three things: your industry, your unit economics, and your expectations, your goals. Industry, well, let's just baseline where you're at. Are you a retail business that involves real estate or significant leases? Are you a restaurant? Are you a home service-based business with lower startup costs? Or are you a business that's part-time or designed for supplemental income or certain lifestyle goals or certain passion and mission? These are important factors because we want to be evaluating and baselining what your competition looks like in the franchise industry. Are you entering an industry, or as you franchise your business, is there white space? Is there heavy competition? Is there competition that's demonstrated the need for your franchise and opportunity to grow in other markets? This is an important initial assessment. And when you're considering your franchising and when you're considering industry, also think about the second factor I'm about to discuss, which is unit economics. What's the promises you're making to your franchise buyers? Is it that they're going to be able to replace their income, supplement their income, build a legacy with multiple locations? It's important to consider. And when you're franchising your business, as we evaluate your unit economics, what are we going to be looking at? Well, the performance of your business right now, your legacy business, or what we call your company-owned outlet, your company-owned locations. And what are we going to be looking at? We're going to be looking at top-line numbers, your gross sales, year-over-year sales increases, maybe your sales by category. And then most important, what does your profitability look like? Your gross profit after your cost of goods sold, cost of services provided, labor, and then ultimately cash flow and profitability. It's important to understand those factors and also consider that your franchise buyers, well, they're going to have expenses that you don't have. They're going to be franchisees. They're going to be paying you royalties. They're going to be paying you technology fees, brand development fund fees. So based on your current model now, based on your current performance, if we make adjustments for franchisees, which are franchise-related expenses and the fact that they're going to be starting up maybe in a new market, and if they build up their marketing, will they be profitable and will they achieve the goals that you're going to be promising them? For example, income replacement, supplemental income, or whatever category that we fall in. Ultimately, we need to be evaluating what's the estimated startup expense and what's the franchisee's ROI potential. How long will it take them to recoup their initial investment? And does it align with the economic promises you've made? So industry, unit economics. Third factor, most important, is your expectations and goals as a founder. Does franchising align with your growth goals? Consider that franchising is a 5-year journey. Your first 2 years are building a foundation. Sure, we become a franchise in 90 days or 120 days, but think about years 1 and 2 as foundation setting, your website, improving your website, telling your brand story, learning about franchising, coming to some franchise conferences, putting yourself in the driver's seat, onboarding your first 1, 2, or 3 franchisees who come about organically, people that know you, friends, family, customers, building around those franchisees, making them successful, creating validation, so as year 3 hits, we could scale and grow even further, not without wasting money on unnecessary marketing or franchise sales tactics that aren't going to work for you right now. And does this align with your growth goals of building this new organization, building out this franchise system, and being in it for the long term? Those three factors are critical. They need to align with your business and your goals. Franchise industry outlook for 2026 and beyond. Well, in the past, the franchise industry, a ton of growth opportunity has been focused around lower startup costs, home service type businesses. Think gutter cleaning, think carpet cleaning, businesses where there were lower startup costs. Maybe someone could start it from a home office with back office operations or back office storage. Why were they so favored over the past 5 years? Well, lower startup costs with the potential to create income replacement. And in 2025, we've seen trends now moving toward retail, boutique retail opportunities, unique retail opportunities. So as we go into 2026 and beyond, we're facing issues with the economy, AI, and overall, how's the franchise landscape going to look? Well, the economy is still a question mark for 2026 with the potential for significant growth. But a trend that's undeniable is AI. And if AI is not taking jobs, well, it's certainly reducing hiring. And you'll continue to see trends in corporate America where people are thinking about, is now the time to leave corporate America, or is now the time to invest in a business that could survive AI or any downsizing? My prediction or my thought is we're going to see continued interest in the franchise world in 2026 and beyond. I think home service businesses, lower startup cost businesses will still be favorable. So there's opportunity there. Certainly, back to our earlier point, you need to evaluate industry competition. There's also opportunity for retail. Think about an advantage to retail compared to a service business is service business doesn't have a brick and mortar location, whereas retail does. And so it's a different marketing dynamic. It's a different customer engagement dynamic. Look for positive opportunities for specialty retail, boutique retail, underserviced segments. Think in terms of, hey, in a world of Amazon and AI, what are the personal connections that people are looking to make? So 2026 for franchising, there's definitely going to be continued trend and opportunity. For you, you need to be evaluating how your business fits in. And even if you're in a traditional business or one that's performed well in the franchise world, what are your unique differentiators as we franchise your business? That's something we focus on with our clients throughout the franchising process. The reality is there is opportunity. There's macroeconomic opportunity. Whether the economy goes up or down, there's definitely a trend where individuals are looking for business opportunities and franchise opportunities. So overall, there's a lot of positive there. What is franchising all about, or what is it really? Well, it's a legal and business model. When you franchise your business, we need to comply with federal and state franchise laws. But what does franchising mean to your business? It's a growth opportunity. Think about organic growth versus franchise growth. You could organically grow your business, open up new locations, create new service territories. And what does that mean? You're investing more capital, you're managing more team members, and there may be limits to how much you can keep investing and growing your business, and maybe it's just local or regional. Franchising represents growth opportunity, the opportunity to grow the reach of your brand through new retail locations or through new service territories. Advantages, well, you onboard franchisees who, unlike organic growth, are investing their own capital to build out and develop a new franchise location or service territory, who are working on the business and supplying their own managerial talent, hopefully growing geographically the reach of your business and the reach of your brand. And what does this mean to you? Well, we all create businesses. We believe in creating something bigger than ourselves. And when franchising is done right, you're creating a whole new business, right? You're becoming a franchisor. You're selling franchises, receiving initial franchise fees. You're supporting your franchisees, training, initial training, ongoing training, support, brand direction, leadership, brand standards, supply chain, right? You want satisfied customers and satisfied franchisees. And as you grow your franchise network, well, you're expanding the reach of your brand, but you've also created a business model where you're creating enterprise value. As a franchisor, as your franchisees succeed, they increase their sales, they sell, you're receiving royalties and revenue streams. As a franchisor, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what does the cash flow look like for your franchise system? Do you have satisfied franchisees? What is the cash flow that the royalties you receive on a continuous basis are? What are the fees you're receiving or profits from supply chain? Hopefully by providing franchisees with great products at below retail pricing, taxes or below industry prices. So you're creating a business model where 5, 10 years from now, maybe you sit with private equity or you don't, but you look at a business where you have ongoing revenues in the form of royalties, supply chain fees, other fees where your franchise business is growing. As your franchisees grow, you earn more money. So you're taking your local business and you're creating enterprise value. And one good thing is consider we have so many clients where franchise success is different for them. Some are just a local franchise and they're happy with that 10, 15 locations. Others are regional, and then there's others that are national. So when you franchise your business, you're really monetizing what's worked for you. You're creating a whole new business category. You're looking to create enterprise value and grow something much bigger than what your business is today. If you subscribe to his channel and watch our videos, we talk about the steps to franchising your business all the time. And I'll just give a brief overview here. What are the steps? Well, number one, we want to start with an assessment. Are you ready to franchise your business? Does your business meet the criteria for franchise growth? Two, legal. We need to develop your FDD legally, your franchise agreement, your legal infrastructure. Number three, prepare your operations manual. Four, register and protect your trademarks. Five, register your FDD so we could sell franchises in the registration states and throughout the country. Six, establish your franchise company. And number seven, create a franchise growth strategy and budget. And these 7 steps, they don't happen in sequential order. They sort of happen all at the same time. Well, certainly after the business assessment, after we decide you're ready to franchise, we're developing all these things at the same time. As we develop your FDD, we're focusing on your brand positioning, what makes your franchise unique, where we're going to fit in the franchise world and the sales process. We'll be protecting your trademark, setting up your franchise company. First 2 years is setting the foundation, seasoning your franchise offering, and really the time period for becoming a franchisor. Those are 7 steps. We have a ton of videos on them, so in depth, and definitely check those out. And of course, you could just reach out to our team. Now, coming up next, how long and what is the cost? Well, a franchise your business, the process going from where you are today to becoming a franchisor with an issued FDD, legally capable to offer and sell franchises in most of the states. There's more time needed for registration states. It's 90 to 120 days. And during that time period, as we work with our clients, we'll be involved in a franchise assessment, evaluating the business model, evaluating the unit economics, preparing a franchise strategy game plan, go-to-market strategy. What are our franchise fees, our royalties, territory structures, where are the market opportunities? And most important, during this 90 to 120 day period, we're setting up your franchise company, preparing your franchise disclosure document, franchise agreements, legal infrastructure. So to become a franchisor, it's 90 to 120 days. But remember, look at it as a 12-month process. Sure, we become a franchise in 90 to 120 days, but look at the next 12 months or 24 months as seasoning your franchise offering, improving your franchise sales website, telling your brand story, attending franchise conferences, learning more about franchising, communicate with friends, family, customers about your franchise opportunity, onboarding those first couple of pioneering franchisees, improving your systems around them, making them better, making them successful. Because if at the end of 2 years, we have franchisees that validate, you have a very powerful tool. If at the end of 2 years, you have a better website, you're telling a better story, a genuine story about your business, why you created the brand, how it transformed your life. You've come to some of our franchise conferences or industry conferences. You've spoken to other franchisors. You've now equipped yourself where we can make smart, strategic decisions. Now, what's the cost? What does it cost? Well, for our clients working with our firm, right now the cost is around $26,000. That includes legal plus franchise growth strategy. There's other expenses for operations manuals. It could range anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000. What do other people in the franchise world experience? Well, you'll see costs ranging from $25,000 to over $100,000. And what you need to be careful is watch out for middlemen, watch out for certain franchise consultants or advisors that really act as middlemen between you and your lawyer, between you and sales organizations, between you and other professionals. Why? Because you're going to be paying higher fees and you may not be getting value for your investment. When you franchise your business, think about the fundamentals. You want to enter the franchise world the right way. You want to gain knowledge and insight, inside strategy. So as you become a franchisor, after your FDD is issued, you can make smart strategic decisions. So be careful with prepackaged bundles of everything where certain franchise consultants and developers, they promise you FDDs, even though they're not legal, accounting, operations manual, sales strategy, marketing. Turns out a lot of that is very boilerplate. It feels good. You get a big package. You spent a lot of money and you may not be getting the value that you think you're getting. You're entering a new franchise world. You need to work with someone in a team that's not pre-selling you on things that you don't know about yet. You want to enter the right way and make smart strategic decisions with a really good team. So time frame, 90 to 120 days, but focus on your first 24 months. Cost, it could range anywhere from $25,000 to over $100,000. More doesn't mean better. Watch what you're spending your money on, where you're spending it, and the right expectations and goals. When you're thinking about franchising, maybe you're doing Google searches, you see a ton of pay-per-click ads, you contact companies, franchise consultants, franchise advisors, or maybe you're contacting some lawyers, franchise lawyers like our firm. Chances are, if you reach out to a consultant or advisor, they're promising you that they do everything from A to Z, everything that you need to become a franchisor. You need to be careful here. They almost make it sound like they're franchise lawyers, or they say they handle the legal, or their in-house attorney handles the legal, or somehow they could do everything and you could just have a lawyer rubber stamp it. Remember, when you franchise your business, you're complying with federal and state franchise laws. It's predominantly a legal process. When you franchise your business, think of it as a legal first process because it's going to be so critical. As you work with a franchise lawyer, select a lawyer that just specializes in franchising. If they have experience working with hundreds of franchisors, well, they're going to have unique insights into what works in the franchise industry, the right go-to-market strategy, and most important, what happens after you become a franchise, what happens down the line. Franchise lawyers are critical. Typically, they're going to be focused on preparing your FDD, preparing your franchise agreements, registering your trademarks, registering your FDD with state regulators. Do not rely on consultants or advisors who claim to do all those things because those are legal. They cannot specialize in it. And if they're a good consultant or advisor, they're going to communicate that to you. And there's many out there. So a good consultant, franchise consultant or advisor, what are they? Well, there's no set definition or there's no specific criteria for that, just individuals that know franchising. There's some companies that are out there that'll help you with strategy or help you with marketing and growth opportunities. But be very careful. And look, our law firm, we do legal plus development. Plus, we have our own franchise development company in GoodSpark. And we're focused mostly on education. Our Frank Camp conferences, our master classes. Sure, we have all these services where we could do everything for you. But here's the real key in the franchise world. You can't just hire people and just leave it to them. You need to be a part of the process. You need to learn along the way so you can make smart and confident decisions. So franchise lawyers, critical because there's so many legal steps. And if a consultant says they do it all, who are you going to call 3, 4, 5 years from now if there is a legal problem? If you call that consultant, they'll tell you, well, we're not your lawyer. Apply a legal first strategy. Some consultants are very expensive. They're trading off of what you don't know in the franchise industry. You don't know the next steps. And so many times they make you feel like if you pay this money, you're going to get special access or special information. My advice, get the fundamentals right, enter the franchise world the right way, speak to other franchisors, network, learn about franchising, and then let's make smart, confident decisions together with your advisors. But do it after you have the right information. Get the FDD prepared. Have it prepared in a way that's market ready. It means your territory structures, your franchise fees, your royalties, understanding what comes next and where you should focus. So franchise lawyers, franchise consultants, focus on quality. There's good ones out there on both ends, but understand what you're paying for today. You don't want shortcuts, and you don't want to pay for these bulk packages that are everything, but in reality, not much at all, right? They're generic. Franchise industry secrets, things you're going to wish you knew, or gladly you do know, before franchising your business, before making a decision to work with a franchise lawyer, franchise consultant, or spending money. And the secret is that franchise sales are difficult, and you just can't hire someone to do everything for you and expect results. Remember, we talked about a 5-year growth strategy. Looking at your first 2 years is building that foundation, learning franchising, making your website better, your brand story better, how you communicate with franchisee candidates, onboarding your first 1, 2, 3, 4 pioneering franchisees that come about organically. That's critical. And the secret in the franchise world, when you're trying to franchise your business, you may run into these consultants and advisors that promise you everything, that make franchise sales sound easy, to make it sound like you're going to have hundreds of locations, or just don't worry, hire them. They do all the marketing, sit back, they'll run ads, they'll run leads, they're going to qualify franchisees. and you're just going to grow. Franchising is all about just making money. That's not the case. You need to be actively involved as a franchisor. You need to start organically. You need to start strategically, and no one's going to do all these things for you. But they may make it sound so easy because they're selling you on the widget of franchising your business, which means they just want you to pay them to become a franchisor. And a bigger secret is the vast majority of new franchisors never get past 10, 20, 30 franchise locations. And many times they weren't ready to franchise, or they didn't have the right expectations, or they wasted their capital with the wrong advisor that promised all these things, and now they think franchising doesn't work. That's a critical secret, and just keep that in mind as you evaluate franchising your business. So if you're not ready yet, how do you prepare to franchise your business in the future? Well, it comes down to the basics. Number one, I have to tell you, if your trademarks are not registered with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, you need to do that right away. That process takes over 9 months. You need to make sure your business name, your logos, that they can be registered, meaning someone else hasn't already registered the name or a confusingly similar name, or that your name is not generic. So speak with a good trademark attorney. If you're thinking about franchising, that's a service our team provides. So get your trademarks locked up, and whether you franchise or not, you need them to be registered. Second is focus on your unit economics. Keep diligent records. Look at the profitability. Look at your gross sales by category. What is your cash flow, and how does that translate to future franchise buyers? Third, build out your systems. Document your systems. Start building out your operations manual. Build it out for your own team as if you were never franchising, and use as the foundation for the future. And guys, if you're thinking about franchising, reach out to our team. We'll have a conversation, candid conversation about readiness. Is franchising a good fit for you? How our team can help, how our Good Spark development company could help if that's something that we think could align for you. And also consider coming to some of our conferences. Also, comments below. I appreciate you guys being here.